What is happening on a Thursday night? Thanks for joining me as always. It is much appreciated. Hope all of you are doing well. And the first question of the night, as is the first question every Thursday night, what are you drinking? Let me know. Throw a comment in. Let me know what you're drinking, what you love to drink. Tonight, here's what I got. I've got a Berkeley Beer Company Red, Firehouse Red. Berkeley is one of my favorite local breweries. They're in Taunton. And I've got the Berkeley Firehouse Red, which is absolutely freaking terrific. All right, we'll give you the top 5 storylines in the NFL this week. Some thoughts on Deshaun Watson's injury, the big trade, of course, by the Kansas City Chiefs. But first, let's jump to some of these answers quickly. We've got Marilyn who says, hey, Nick, got my cherry wheat ready to go. Of course, Marilyn back stateside. Good to see you, Marilyn. Welcome back to the party. Always appreciate you. Ryan Lee has his Alskin Cider Nordic Berry flavor. I think Ryan's a big fan of these Alskin ciders. I think that's a repeat drink for him. So let me know. Again, let me know what you're drinking on this Thursday night, getting ready for the Vikings and the Rams Thursday night football. Let's get started with story number 5. And we start, last week we started with Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. And the question was, what would the Browns do with Watson? And we went through all the numbers, all the analytics, all the statistics that told you that Deshaun Watson was literally one of the worst, if not the worst quarterback in football this year. Well, they played Deshaun Watson again last week. Deshaun Watson actually tore his Achilles. He's done for the season. Jameis Winston, now QB1 in Cleveland. Watson, while he's been a Brown, is 9-10. That's his record. He's 9-10. His QBR is 34. That's from 0 to 100. His QBR is 34. It's in the bottom 5 of football. When you look at since 2022 and the amount of snaps, Deshaun Watson, again, literally has been one of the worst quarterbacks in all of football since he has been in Cleveland. Now he's out with that torn Achilles, which begs the question, what do the Browns do now about Deshaun Watson? What is going to happen? His contract situation. ESPN wrote this week that the next 2 seasons, Watson has cap hits of $72.9 million, both of which are slated to be the second highest in the NFL. According to the roster management system, Cleveland owes Watson $46 million in each of the next 2 seasons. Now, the Browns restructured Watson's deal before the season, creating $44.79 million in cap space that the team is expected to carry over to become cap compliant next offseason. But Cleveland is still projected to be $52 million over the cap for the 2025 season. Restructuring Watson's contract created $172 million and $99 million in dead cap hits in 25 and 26 if Cleveland were to part ways with him with a pre-June 1st cut. So if they cut Deshaun Watson, they're screwed. They're screwed. They're in such a bad situation with Deshaun Watson's contract, the dead cap money moving forward. Now he has a torn Achilles. He's played some of the worst football that we've seen quarterbacks play the last couple of years. I'll keep saying this. They deserve everything that they get for really not having a soul, deciding to trade for Deshaun Watson and just handing him $230 million of guaranteed money. Here it is. They made their bed and they're lying in it. Now, per a copy of Watson's contract obtained by ESPN, the Browns have up to $13.9 million of this year's salary insured and up to $44.2 million of his 2025 salary insured. So they will recoup some of the money, but not nearly enough. It's a grim future for the Cleveland Browns. It's a grim future for any Browns fan. And imagine, you've gone through nonstop quarterback turnover. They sell their soul to bring Deshaun Watson in, thinking that he's going to be the answer. He's been anything but the answer. And now you're looking at, again, starting over at that position. It's truly unbelievable. You can't have Watson come back in 2025. I don't know how on earth you could think he's going to come back. You just can't do that. You had the fans. The fans were literally booing the guy as he got carted off with a torn Achilles. That city hates him. They're done with him. And now you got all the money on the books. His play hasn't been good. It's a nightmare for the Browns, an absolute nightmare. And it is no doubt a rebuild. at this point for the Cleveland Browns. With the cap situation, you are looking at another rebuild if you're Cleveland. So if I'm Cleveland, I'm starting to trade players. They traded Amari Cooper. I'm trading more guys. I'm getting rid of as much cap as I can get rid of. I'm moving forward believing this is a rebuild. It's going to take us at least 2 to 3 years to get back to competitive football. You're not bringing Watson back. That's done. I would cut Watson. I would take the losses, even though you're looking at so much dead cap. I would still at least entertain cutting Watson. And again, with all the other stuff going on and the drama going on, I don't know how you bring him back into the city. I understand that it is crippling, the amount of cap space and the cap hits. I get it. But I have no idea how you feel like you can responsibly bring that guy back to the city with that fan base. Take your losses. They're huge losses, but take them at this point. Draft a quarterback in April. You're going to have a top 5 pick. Draft a quarterback in April and start all over again, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or somebody else. And I would think of, a redshirt year for that rookie quarterback, by the way, next season. If I'm Cleveland and I drafted, say, Sanders, I'm planning on redshirting that guy in 2025 because I don't think this team is going to be very close to competing. I could end up being wrong. I mean, they got a couple of receivers, Jerry Jeudy, right? They traded Cooper, but they've got Jeudy. They've got a couple of guys that are there. They've got a pretty good offensive line. They've got Myles Garrett. But I just think, man, without that quarterback, if you go out and you get a young quarterback, it's a very, very difficult situation with your cap. I would start to look towards the future. And I know it's difficult to say that, but it is what it is. Cleveland created this mess. You had a desperate owner making a desperate move, and it has backfired deliciously. Speaking of delicious, here is my Berkeley Brick House Red, ladies and gentlemen. Have a sip. Join the party. Always happy to be here on a Thursday evening getting ready for another week of football. Here you go. Cheers. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's jump to some of these comments. I will get to story number 4 in a minute. Kevin Roberts jumps in, says, drinking the Rocks brand Terramana right now. Glad I haven't started anybody tonight in fantasy. Puka Nacua coming back tonight. Cooper Kupp coming back tonight. Both those guys are active. So maybe that will make the game a little bit more entertaining. Maybe. Cisco 300, Bud Light, and football. There we go. I'm going to the Patriots game on Sunday. Yes, I'll accept your condolences early. I'm going to the Patriots game on Sunday, Patriots-Jets. And I'm just guessing I will have a few Bud Lights, if not a few dozen Bud Lights on Sunday at the game. So appreciate every single one of you. Let's jump. And Marilyn says, wow, that's dark red. It is, but it's really good. It's actually a little bit on the sweet side for some people. Marilyn, speaking of Marilyn, back stateside, sends a $25 super chat. Thank you, Marilyn. Appreciate the super chat. Should the Browns wait to cut Watson until the newest allegations get sorted out? Might they have an out if those show to have merit? It's a great question. You wonder if there's some contract language there and whether or not they can get out of some of the deal. Now, does that contract language include the date? And what I mean by that is if you have a situation where this latest allegation comes at a certain time, does that allow the Browns to get out of that deal? It's a very, very good question, Marilyn. I'm just trying to search through here, see if we have anything. I don't know if they can do that. I don't know if they can put that in the latest restructuring. So I'll have to look at that. But it's a fantastic question. It's such an awful situation that I think you've got to move on from him. I really believe that. But like you said, if there is some kind of out, what's the language? Does it have to be a settled case? Does it have to be a criminal charge? I don't know. There's a lot of details that you would have to sift through, I'd imagine. But I thank you for the $25 super chat. John is having some coffee. Nothing wrong with some coffee on Thursday night. I'm not a coffee guy. Never drink coffee. But my wife loves it. Exarmy. Hey, Nick, big fan. I'm thinking the Raiders want Sanders. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, look, if the Raiders are in a position, and right now things aren't going well, as we know, if they're in a position to draft Sanders, it makes a lot of sense, right? Vegas, Brady now part of the ownership group. You would think that Dion wouldn't mind his son going to Las Vegas. It's a growing market. As somebody who follows the Patriots, I hope the Patriots end up with the number one pick and they have like 2 or 3 teams underneath them dying to trade up for a quarterback and they get a massive haul. So we'll see how it goes. But I would imagine that, yes, the Raiders will be in the conversation. They need a quarterback, obviously. Minshew, O'Connell, those aren't the guys. They traded Devontae Adams. They know they need a premier, elite, future franchise quarterback. So I would look for them to try to add one of those guys in the draft. All right, let's get to story number 4. Unfortunately, more injuries. Tampa Bay loses both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin during the primetime game last weekend. Rough week for the Bucs. They were manhandled by the Ravens. Look, don't get it twisted. Don't get fooled by the garbage time. Ravens absolutely dominated the Buccaneers through most of that game. It wasn't much of a game. Evans is going to miss multiple weeks because of a hamstring. Godwin is done, dislocated ankle. Likely he'll be done for the year. Brutal for Godwin, by the way. He's walking into his free agency. He's not a spring chicken, so to speak. You wonder if he's a little bit frustrated that the Buccaneers had him out there during garbage time of a game that they had like a 2% chance of winning. It costs him the ankle injury, so he's likely going to be done for the year. Doesn't have a chance to continue to build his value on the field. Now he's in a very, very difficult situation. Coming off of an injury, he's had an ACL in the past. Is any team going to give him the money that he's hoping for? I don't know. It's tough to believe coming off of the injury. We'll have to wait and see. But long-term wise, that's rough for Godwin. Meanwhile, Mike Evans, he's 31 years old. And, one of the injuries that I hate seeing is the hamstring injury. Now, it's not a serious injury when it first happens, but as you know, if you've watched enough sports, and I'm sure many of you have, if you have a hamstring injury like that, a lot of times it's difficult to come back. It just lingers. I always talk about it, hammies and calves. Like if you've got a calf injury, calf injuries and hamstring injuries, sometimes they take forever to get better. So this is a very difficult hand that has been dealt to Tampa. No Godwin. Who knows? I know they say week 11, they're hoping that Evans comes back. Who knows if that's going to be the case? If it does linger, that's going to be a big-time issue. Wide receivers left on the roster, Jalen McMillan, a guy that I liked coming out of Washington. Everybody talked about Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk. McMillan was that third receiver in Washington. He's on the roster. Trey Palmer, Sterling Shepard. So nobody great. They're going to need McMillan to really step up. And that's a lot to ask for a rookie. And it's difficult for the Buccaneers because they're tied for first place with the Falcons in the NFC South. They have a legitimate shot to win that division. They have a legitimate shot to make a run in the NFC. The NFC is not overflowing with great football teams right now. So the Buccaneers, they're competitive. Tied for first in the division. They got a chance. And so what do? Do they go out and try to, trade for a wide receiver? If I'm the Buccaneers, I feel like I have to help Baker Mayfield. You got to the playoffs last year, won a game. You felt good about it. You come back this year. You are looking good up until Monday night against the Ravens, one of the better teams in football, but you're still tied for first place. So you get that chance with the division. I'd be looking around if I'm the Buccaneers trying to help Baker out. Can I get a wide receiver out there that's available that can help my quarterback? It's going to be a big, big challenge, by the way, for Liam Cohen, who is the offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers from Warwick, Rhode Island, by the way. Yep, Warwick, Rhode Island. I'm a Rhode Islander, so shout out to Liam. But that's going to be a big-time challenge. He's a first-time NFL play caller, and now he doesn't have Godwin, and he doesn't have Mike Evans. So good luck to Liam Cohen. Good luck to Baker Mayfield. Maybe you lean on Rashad White, Bucky Irvin, your running backs. Maybe Irving and White can give you something in the run game. The defense has not been good for Tampa, so you feel like you've got to score points if you're the Buccaneers, if you want to win on a weekly basis. And can you put enough points up on the board without Godwin and Evans it's going to be a very, very tall task. All right, before I get to story number 3, going to give all of you a reminder. Doesn't cost you any money. Doesn't take a lot of time. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on the YouTube channel. Give us that thumbs up. More likes means more eyeballs. The more people that we get to watch this product, the better, because we get to beat that algorithm at YouTube. So don't forget to click that thumbs up if you're watching. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, like, especially YouTube. That helps us defeat YouTube. Kind of sounds weird, right? But it's true. Also, throw a comment in. How do you feel about the Buccaneers? Down both Evans and Godwin. What do you think about Deshaun Watson? We're going to talk about Jayden Daniels in a minute. How do you feel about the Jayden Daniels injury? Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers on this channel. We are, I think, just under 400 away from that. So everybody that watches this, if you like it, if you love it, don't forget to subscribe to it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me get a drink. Again, want to know what you're drinking? I'm drinking a Berkeley Beer Company Firehouse Red Ale. Great stuff. Always appreciate hearing from you. Let me know. Let me know what you're drinking tonight. And here's Marilyn doing double duty, YouTube and Facebook. Nick's got a great pod. Live is best, but on demand, it's good too. Well, thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate you. Let's get to story number 3. Jayden Daniels got hurt. He's been cooking during his rookie season. Washington is 5-2. They are in first place in the NFC East. Daniels hurts his ribs against Carolina. If anybody has watched my Patriots podcast, as we got ready for the NFL draft, the main thing with me that just kept sticking out with Jayden Daniels was his pressure to sack ratio. Takes a lot of hits. He also loves to scramble and run when he gets pressured. And when you combine those analytics with a guy who depends on running so much and the size, the frame of Daniels, my number one concern was that Daniels, with his style of play to go along with that size and frame, would be an injury risk. And I was concerned that Daniels would not have a long NFL career because he's going to take a lot of hits, and those hits will accumulate. That was my biggest concern. Style, frame, the way he plays, and you saw it last week. He had a chance to get out of bounds. He didn't get out of bounds. He did pick up an additional 15 to 20 yards because he decided to cut up field. But again, he cut up field. He doesn't get down. He takes a hit. And what do you know? He gets hurt. And to me, if you watch that, it was a pretty innocuous hit. It wasn't a vicious hit that Jayden Daniels took, which brings us back to his frame, his size. He's not a big dude. A big NFL player hits him or lands on him, he's prone to get injured. And so that happens. Not even halfway through his rookie season, he cuts up field, which goes back to the style of play. If he sees extra yards in front of him, he's going to try to pick up those extra yards. He's not going to get out of bounds. He's not going to slide. He's not going to play it safe. He cuts up field. He takes that hit, and his ribs get hurt. And so the Commanders are saying he's week to week. Adam Schefter reported today that they're going to try to have him practice tomorrow. If I am Washington, there is zero reason to rush him back. I understand that you're in first place in the NFC East, but when you drafted Jayden Daniels, you drafted him for the long term. You drafted him for the future. You didn't draft Jayden Daniels because you thought you were going to go on a run in 2024. If you do, that's great news. But that was not the plan. So if I'm Washington, I'm being very, very, very patient with this injury. I'm thinking long-term. Long-term is the priority. There should be no reason to put Daniels back out on that field unless he feels absolutely, unequivocally 100%. No reason for it. Marcus Mariota, by the way, played well. He was third in passer rating last week. He was sixth in completion percentage over expected. He was second in EPA per dropback. Now, we have to keep it all relative. They were playing Carolina. But still, Mariota played great replacing Jayden Daniels. And you look at the schedule. They play the Bears this weekend. Of course, the NFL is going to be pissed because they had the Caleb Williams versus Jayden Daniels matchup, right? All of us would have been excited to check that matchup out. Caleb versus Jayden, 1 versus 2. But I'm not worried about that if I'm Washington. I'm not worried about promotion. I'm not worried about marketing. I'm not worried about TV ratings. I'm worried about what can I do to put my team in the best position to succeed long term. And rushing your franchise quarterback out there right after an injury, especially, again, given his style of play and given that frame of his, I'm pumping the brakes. And as much as people want to see that matchup of Caleb Williams versus Jayden Daniels, I'm not dying to see that matchup if I'm Washington right now. So you get the next 2 games. You got against Chicago, home game, right? You got a home game against Chicago. Then you play at the New York Giants. So I feel like you have a chance to win both of those games with Marcus Mariota if Marcus Mariota can play the way he played last week. It's a big if. But it's not like you're going against some powerhouse over the next couple of weeks. So if it takes a week or 2 to get Daniels healthy and get him back, that's what you should do. 3 weeks, Steelers in 3 weeks. That's the matchup. With Chicago, right, coming up, and then you get the Giants, and then you get the Steelers. If I'm Washington, the game that I feel like I really need Daniels back for is against that Pittsburgh defense. So if I got to be patient, I got to wait it out, and I've got to see, what happens here over the next week or so physically for Jayden Daniels. I'm eyeing that Steelers game. And, I feel for Commanders fans. I did radio down in Virginia Beach during RG3's rookie season. And I know how excited, that area was about RG3. It was palpable, man. But RG3, again, every time he was on the field, you were holding your breath. And I just hope Washington fans don't have to go through that with Jayden Daniels. Because if I'm a Commanders fan, I do have to feel like I got to hold my breath every time Jayden Daniels takes off. And I hope that's not the case. Like, just holding your breath constantly through every snap, through every run, through every game, through every season. I hope it's not that for all of those fans. All right. Like, comment, subscribe. We're about to get to story number 2. Dos. But before we do that, let's jump to a super chat. We got a $5 super chat from our friend Justin TF Patriot. Enjoying the show. Thank you. Drinking a bourbon barrel aged weekend 14.2 ABV stout from Prairie Artisan Ales. Cheers. Cheers, Justin. My goodness. My man Justin is a beer guy. He knows what he's doing. I appreciate you, Justin. I'm drinking the Berkeley Beer Company Firehouse Red. I think this Firehouse Red, by the way, it doesn't have the ABV on it on this can. I don't know why. They usually put it on. But I believe this is an 8%. I believe it's an 8% ABV. It's really good. Again, it might be a little bit on the sweet side for some people. I love it. I love a lot of beer that Berkeley makes, and their Firehouse Red is one of those beers that I really, really enjoy. So, Justin, thank you for the note. Thank you for the $5 super chat. It is very much appreciated. You tell me what you're drinking right now. You tell me what you're drinking. I want to know. I want to know what you got. All right, let's get to story number 2. While you don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this lovely YouTube channel that hopefully most of you enjoy. Maybe some of you are hate watching. I don't know. Maybe you're hate watching. If you are, at least give us a thumbs up. All right, story number 2. How about the Kansas City Chiefs? How about the Kansas City Chiefs? They added DeAndre Hopkins this week. I love this for Kansas City. I love it for Kansas City. They are all in. They are all in. And this was a huge need for them. Rashee Rice is going through the injury situation. Who knows if he's going to be back this year? Hollywood Brown was also part of their plans. He got injured. So they're down 2 receivers. They needed a receiver. And DeAndre Hopkins, to me, he's great help for Patrick Mahomes. Now, here's what's interesting about Mahomes. he's not having the greatest year, right? I mean, it's relatively speaking. We all expect the moon from Mahomes, but he's 23rd in passer rating this year. 23rd. He's ninth in QBR, so that's helped out by his running ability, right? But he's also tied for first in the most interceptions in football this year. So 23rd in passer rating. He has 8 interceptions, which is tied for the most in the NFL. Mahomes has not been playing at a very high level. And some of that is on Patrick, but some of that is also on the wide receiver issues they have. Losing Rice, losing Brown, trying to make Juju Smith-Schuster work out, which he did a couple of weeks ago. Juju had that big game, and then Juju got hurt. So Travis Kelce is 35 years old. I don't think you can bank on Travis Kelce week in and week out like you used to. You've got to almost manage Kelce to get to the postseason, to get the most out of Kelce during the postseason. So they needed somebody else. They desperately needed another receiver. And I love the Hopkins move for a number of reasons. Again, you help out Patrick Mahomes. It was a need on your football team. Also, low price. It's like Kansas City was walking through the wide receiver market and somebody was like, hey, yo, we've got DeAndre Hopkins for the low price of a 5th-round pick. You make that trade every day of the week, twice on Sunday. It's a 5th-round pick that can become a 4th-round pick. If you're Kansas City, even if it becomes a 4th-round pick, it's at the end of the round most likely. We all understand that Kansas City, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes healthy, we all understand that the Chiefs are going to be in the playoffs again. They're going to win that division. They're going to be in the AFC Championship game. They are the Patriots with Tom Brady. Like year in and year out, you just expect them to get to the playoffs and make a deep run. So you know they're going to be there. So any pick that you give up for Hopkins is going to be at the end of the round. So even if it does bump up to a 4th-round pick, it's an end of the 4th round. Kansas City does not need an end of the 4th-round pick. You give up that pick every time if you can bring somebody in like Hopkins to help you right now when you're all in with the best quarterback in football. So it's a low price. And I also think, when you look at Hopkins, he's in a contract year. Oh, baby. Sorry, I had to take a sip. The Firehouse Red was staring me in the face. Hopkins in a contract year, and he's never won. So if you're Kansas City, you should expect to get the very best of DeAndre Hopkins that he can give you. He's not the same guy as 4 or 5 years ago, but he's going to be highly motivated. He's looking at the end of his contract. He is now playing for, the back-to-back world champions with a chance to, go back and do it again. And when you think about the opportunity that he has lying in front of him, you have to imagine that he is going to have more motivation than he has ever had in his career. He has a golden opportunity now. He has a golden opportunity to prove to the world that I could be a Super Bowl champion with the best quarterback in the league. So you didn't have to give up much. You filled a top need. You helped your superstar, and you're going to get somebody who is highly motivated to play some great football over the next 10 weeks or so. I love the deal for the Chiefs. Loved it. All right, let's get to story number 1. So you got the Chiefs making that move for DeAndre Hopkins. The team the Chiefs played against in the Super Bowl, the Niners, they're struggling. Shout out to Joe Namath. The 49ers are 3-4 so far this season. And they are dealing with a bunch of stuff, right? Run CMC is trying to get back. Brandon Ayuk tears his ACL last week. Deebo Samuel was in the freaking hospital this week with pneumonia. He is now out of the hospital. He was back at practice today. But you've got Deebo going through pneumonia. You've got Ayuk tearing his ACL. You've got CMC with, an injury that is very mysterious to me, that he's getting treated overseas, which is not a great sign of where that injury is. If that's not bad enough, Jawan Jennings Their other receiver, he didn't practice today because of a hip injury. So Run CMC's hurt. Ayuk is done for the year. Debo has been dinged up, now hospitalized this week with pneumonia. Juwan Jennings not practicing with a hip. I mean, this is a really bad spot for the 49ers. Really bad spot. They need to add a wide receiver. We talked about Tampa earlier. I think San Francisco is even more desperate to add a wide receiver. I mean, they're all in like Kansas City. They're in the same spot as the Chiefs. You have one goal if you're San Francisco. That's to win the whole damn thing. And you're all in this year. You got to go out and get somebody. You've got to find – you don't have to find somebody as good as Ayuk, but you've got to find somebody. Somebody. You're all in. You got to add. You got to help Brock Purdy. I mean, I look at Run CMC. I don't think he's a sure bet. We got Achilles injury. You know, it's been bugging him. First it was a calf, then it was an Achilles. And, you know, he should be okay. He should be back maybe week 2, week 3. And then all of a sudden he's put on IR. And then while he's on IR, he's flying across overseas to get some treatment on the Achilles. I mean, if I'm a 49ers fan, and I could certainly understand the organization as well, if I am the 49ers organization, I am not super confident that CMC is going to come back and look like the guy he was the last couple of years. I'm not confident in that. So I have no idea what to expect from McCaffrey. Ayuk is done. Debo, he's taken a lot of hits. He's not the same dude. So you don't know what you're going to get from Debo. Can Debo last the season? As much as I love George Kittle isn't getting any younger. And when you walked into this year, the 49ers, they had an aging core, right? Kittle and Debo and Williams. They had even McCaffrey with the injury history and that running back position. You were walking into this year with some questions as far as, can these guys have enough in the tank to get to the playoffs and make a deep run again? Can they do it again? And in the first month and a half of this year, there is nothing telling me that those guys are going to be able to come back and look like they looked the past few years. So if I'm John Lynch, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm on the telly and I'm calling around. I'm making phone calls. And if I am John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, I am watching this game tonight with a close eye on Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp makes so much sense for the 49ers. We know that Shanahan and McVay, they're really tight. They're great friends. They run similar offensive systems. I don't think it would be a huge transition from the Rams to the Niners. I think it would be a very easy transition for Cooper Kupp to make. And we know, according to reports this week, that the Rams are open to trading Cooper Kupp, and they might even be willing to take some of his salary off the hands of the team that acquires Kupp. If I'm San Francisco, that type of move makes all the sense in the world. You got the relationship with McVay. You've got the relationship with Snead. He is a position of need, and he has played in a very similar system. Cooper Kupp makes way too much sense for San Francisco. And if you could add Kupp to Debo and Kittle and get CMC back, even if those guys aren't what they used to be, if they can give you 80%, you still have a really good chance. With the way that Purdy has played most of this year, with Shanahan's play calling, you still have a really good chance to make some big-time noise in the NFC. So Cooper Kupp makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. I don't want to put too much on Ricky Pearsall, their rookie wide receiver, their first-round pick. I mean, he was going through injury throughout camp. Then the dude literally gets shot right before the season. I don't want to put too much on Pearsall's plate. So I'd be looking at Cooper Kupp. I'd be looking to make that move if I were the Niners. You're all in. Your core is getting older by the second. So I would be looking at that. And I know Patriots Loco, he says or she says that would be a within the division trade. Yep. And that's a question. Would the Rams be comfortable? But if you're looking to deal Cooper Kupp, you make that trade. I mean, I don't think the Rams are going anywhere this year. And could you get San Francisco feeling a little bit desperate about their situation? Would they be willing to give you a little bit more than other teams would? I don't know how many teams would be in on Cooper Kupp. He's got the injury history, and you wonder how many teams are going crazy for him. Another option for the Niners is Kendrick Bourne. You got the Patriots; they stink out loud. Kyle Shanahan loves Kendrick Bourne. That's been reported in a lot of different places. Kendrick Bourne obviously knows the Shanahan system, knows the verbiage. Very easy transition for Kendrick Bourne to go from New England to San Francisco. He would fit right in. The question is, do the Patriots want to do that? If you're the Patriots, do you want to trade Kendrick Bourne, which might sound weird, but the Patriots are dealing with a wide receiver room that is acting up a little bit. Dudes going on social media posting stuff, guys complaining about not getting enough targets, guys that are complaining about not playing. If I'm New England, you got to balance things, right? You don't have a shot of doing anything this year, and getting draft capital in 2025 is important. And you love extra picks if you can get them. But also, if you're the Patriots, you're looking at this and you're saying, our wide receiver room right now is a dumpster fire. We need veteran leadership. Kendrick Bourne brings us veteran leadership. We need to make sure our rookie quarterback isn't left on an island. And Kendrick Bourne can help our rookie quarterback. So I don't think that's an easy trade for the Patriots to make. But if I'm San Francisco, I'm certainly making the phone call. We know that the Niners were ready to take Kendrick Bourne back in the trade for Brandon Ayuk if Ayuk was willing to come to New England. I would make the call if I'm the Niners. I don't know if the Patriots would be willing to do that, especially right now. It's very rocky in New England, and Gerard Mayo has to make sure he doesn't lose this locker room. And if I'm Mayo and I'm Elliott Wolf, I'm thinking I need as much veteran leadership in that locker room that I can get. And is it worth getting a 4th or 5th round pick and giving up one of our veteran leaders, especially in a wide receiver room that desperately needs that leadership? And the Niners, you also got to think, not only are they all in right now, and it's what are we going to do right now? You got to think about the long term too. And they got a big Brock Purdy decision to make this offseason. Are they going to pay him at the top of the quarterback market? Got a big decision coming up. So it is fascinating times in San Francisco. Berkeley Beer Company, Taunton, Massachusetts, Firehouse Red. It's a great beer. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully all of you are enjoying your beverages of choice as well. Shout out with a cheers on a Thursday night, getting ready for Thursday Night Football. Always appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget to do us a couple of favors here. Like, comment, and subscribe. That's how we kick the algorithm from YouTube right in the face. Little sweet chin music, Shawn Michaels style. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. I hope all of you enjoy week 8. We are done with this week's Crafts and Kickoffs. Enjoy your football weekend. Until next week, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time, every Thursday, Crafts and Kickoffs. Until then, I am Nick Cattles. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you enjoyed your drink of choice, and hopefully you enjoyed the content.